The Master comes along and Gotway pretty much copies that exact setup. Why have a body? You know, you just need the battery on both sides and then that's it. I mean, what else do you need? It seems to work. Kingsong took that risk, Gotway capitalized on it, and we're all happy for it. So now what you have are two different wheels to choose from. You have one wheel with true suspension, and then you have another wheel with suspension but true performance. Welcome back to the channel, guys. We're here to talk about Begode, specifically the Master. So Begode has just released their Master and it looks to be an amazing wheel. All right, it looks more high quality than almost any other wheel that they've put on the market, minus the EX20S and the Hero. Now for a high performance EUC such as the Master, quality is going to be very important because we're talking about speeds of up to 56 miles per hour. That's because of the video I saw from Alien Rides, and I don't know what the rider weight was, but 56 miles an hour is pretty substantial. So crashing at that speed, you know, you can expect that the wheel indeed should be high quality. The fact that it doesn't have a shell like the former Gotway wheels says a lot about Gotway and in a direction where they're going, which in my opinion is a good thing. So as the name suggests, it's a powerhouse, okay? This thing is a powerhouse. Big motor. The battery, so-so, 2400 watt hours. It would have been great for them to somehow squeeze an extra few more watt hours in there, at least match the EXN. That would have been fantastic. Now the suspension is not a full-on suspension, obviously, as you all have seen. Not like the KS20, now KS22 for obvious reasons, fire. But the setup is pretty much exactly the same. All right, so for those of you out there who's, you know, pretty much brand new to the EUC scene, if you haven't already gotten the memo, Gotway is a company that pretty much focuses on high performance EUCs. That's pretty much their top, you know, focus when building EUCs. No other EUC company that is Kingsong, In Motion, 9bot, Leaperkim even, none of these companies come close to matching the true performance over successive iterations of wheels than Gotway. No one comes close, and there's no competition. There's no argument about that. There's no debate. The debate is over. Gotway's #1 where that is concerned. Now, I just mentioned Leaperkim. Now, Leaperkim, if a lot of you don't remember, is actually engineers, okay? These are engineers that came out from Gotway. Obviously, they might have had some type of disagreement with Gotway in terms of their approach on how EUCs are built. So, obviously, they separated and built their own company called Leaperkim. And then you have the Sherman, and now you have the Sherman Max. Now, the problem with Leaperkim is that you really can't on one generation wheel, even two with the Max, which is just an iteration of the initial Sherman, you cannot use that performance EUC that they've built to build a reputation from that company and say, like, listen, they are capable of competing with Gotway. You can't do that because they've literally built one wheel that has been so-so in terms of performance, okay, where if you wanted to compare with Gotway. What we've seen is a wheel that was well built, okay, in terms of structural rigidity, performance in terms of speed, in terms of comfort, in terms of range. At the time, the Sherman had no competition, okay? I'm not going to sugarcoat that. There's literally been no competition where Sherman is concerned at that time. The problem with the Sherman is that as a performance company, it hasn't been tested. It has not been tested at all, because what have you seen? You've seen that in the beginning, at least off the line, the torque was pretty much in question. The Sherman is an amazing wheel for long distance, okay? Not for competitive situations. If you happen to go to the Apple Valley Speedway or any indoor track, and you see most wheels that are being raced, they're usually 16-inch wheels, such as the InMotion, V11, the V12, the S18, 16X, even some MSXs, you know. You'll see wheels like that, because obviously with the indoor tracks, you know, there's a lot of corners, etc. So you need that high pedal clearance and you need that initial torque. The Sherman lacks all of those. So you can't expect to win with a Sherman, not even off-roading tracks, okay? So it has its category, and that is complete comfort for a very long distance. Now, the only wheel that comes close to competing with the Sherman on that level would be the Monster Pro, okay, V3, and now you have the Commander as well. So the Commander and the Monster Pro are pretty much, you know, neck and neck with competing with the Sherman. But as far as all-around performance, the Sherman cannot even come close to Gotway, not even the Max, because what we've noticed with the Max is that while it has more torque, the speed is lacking. Okay, so there you have it. Now, what's interesting to mention about the Sherman, just for a bit here, is that if you look at the specs on Ewheels or any other distributor website, you'll see that, you know, it's capable of doing 45 miles an hour. I've actually pushed it to 45 miles an hour, so I can actually attest to that. My rider weight is 190. With gear, it's about 210 pounds. Now, regarding that, we've seen that a lot of riders were able to push that wheel up to 50 miles per hour. Now, is that a consistent 50 miles an hour? Is that a reliable 50 miles per hour? I highly doubt it, but we've seen that people were able to do that. So why is Gotway going out of its way to make a statement with that name? Why are they calling it the Master? I mean, that is an unexpected name, to be honest. So to make it short, Gotway, it seems for a while, has been trying to sidestep the need for introducing new body types, new body styles, and just a different approach to building EUCs. They've been literally trying to sidestep that for a long time. Then you had Kingsong come out with the S18, which they kind of ignored, and then you had the V11, and then the, you know, Gotway was like, you know what, let's release something that people might like. They ended up releasing the EX. Now, obviously, with the release of the EX, no one was interested. People were disappointed. But like, wait, what's going on here? You have S18. They built something amazing, a full-on suspension. Yes, the battery was lacking, but you could see that, you know, compromise where the suspension was concerned was a no-no. They did an absolute 100% amazing job. And then you had then you had Gotway releasing the EX, which had the same design as the older generation MSPs, 84 volt MSX, etc., 100 volt MSX, that square design, but it just seemed like they didn't want to let go of that old methodology of building wheels. If they planned on tiptoeing into that segment, then there obviously had to be a radical change. They had to do something majorly different. Then you had the KS20 come out. Wow, that was it. I mean, everybody was heading in that direction. So Gotway pretty much had no choice. They were like, you know what, listen, we are the leader in performance EUCs, but not everybody wants performance alone. People want other things as well. And, you know, a variety of things, different flavors, you know what I mean? So we see that instead of reinventing the wheel, what Gotway realized is that, listen, this design is working. Let's use it. Let's use this exact design from Kingsong and make it work for us. Now, some people will say that was just a copycat and Gotway is not really innovative in that sense, but I don't look at it like that. I look at it as a testament to where designs are going in the future. You understand what I mean? So it's not a copy, it's more of what you say, an inspiration. So Gotway was pretty much inspired by KS20, by Kingsong in general. So you got to give it to them for that. And they did an amazing job. Now, obviously, with any first, okay, with any first, you know, you're going to have to make mistakes. And KS20 made a lot of mistakes. One mistake, in my opinion, that they made from the get-go was jumping from 84 volts all the way to 100 and, what was it, 24 or 26 volts or something like that. That was a huge mistake in my opinion, because now you had to compromise on the electronics and just the quality of the wheel in general. So, and we saw what happened with that compromisation. We saw that, you know, they dialed back the torque in the beginning. By dialing back torque, you're basically dialing back braking, and those two go hand in hand. In my testing, as you've all seen, the wheel was not able to handle, you know, hard braking on succession even. Now, don't get me wrong, any wheel can be made to cut out if you brake too hard. You can even blow a capacitor, you can even blow a fuse, but to completely cut out and then catch fire, that's unacceptable. So it seemed like, you know, they bit too much than they were able to chew. Gotway for a very long time had issues with the 100-volt MSX, and it's with that iteration over time, that learning that, you know, over time, and feedback from the users such as ourselves, that they were able to make it a lot better. But Kingsong is not known for doing making amazing wheels, and they just jumped into it, you know what I mean? A lot of riders will obviously forgive Kingsong because of just how they approach suspension with no compromise, and a lot of people will make excuses and say, listen, this is for off-roading, it's not for on-road. But if they had promoted it like that, then it would have been forgiven. But they did not promote it like that, and so that's why I have this harsh criticism for Kingsong. Now you have the Master. The Master comes along, and Gotway pretty much copies that exact setup. Why have a body? You know, you just need the battery on both sides, and then that's it. I mean, what else do you need? It seems to work. Kingsong took that risk, Gotway capitalized on it, and we're all happy for it. So now what you have are two different wheels to choose from. You have one wheel with true suspension, and then you have another wheel with suspension but true performance. Okay, also beyond that, you have a wheel with 2400 watt hours compared to 2200 watt hours with the KS20, now KS22 for obvious reasons. That just tells you how much of a leadership role that Gotway has where performance is concerned. So there are two great wheels. No one should really have to decide between the two. I would categorize these wheels as, you know, just completely different class of wheels. One that is designed for complete off-roading with no compromise, and the other which is street riding with some off-roading with no compromise where performance is concerned. So you don't have to decide between the two. You don't have to say, you know, the Master is worse than the Kingsong, and the Kingsong is worse or better than the Master. They're two different wheels, okay? And what you're really witnessing is just a new generation of design, a new generation of wheels. The old generation of boxy design seems to have gone away. Now we have pressure. Now Leaperkim, In Motion, they have pressure now. You know, if they want to go in that direction, then they're gonna have to come up with some type of full-on suspension. Now it doesn't mean that they have to, but it just seems like the craze of the day seems to lead these companies in that direction. But what I'll say is it's very interesting that these prices are high as they are, because we're kind of getting less. For example, if you look at the KS20, you could argue that the KS20, you know, being that it has a full-on suspension, you know, makes sense that it's that expensive. But then you look at the Master, the suspension is like pretty much the S18, and you don't have a body. You just have, you know, the batteries on both sides and the shock and the sliders in the middle. I mean, and then foam. That's really it. You have the foam for the pads, and then you have the foam for the seat and lights. I mean, what are we really getting here? So it's just interesting that we're, you know, being charged all this crazy amount of money, but not even getting battery capacity that's, you know, equivalent to the EXN. It doesn't make any sense to me. I think the Master, in my opinion, is a $2,700 wheel, maybe a $3,000 wheel for the top version, but that's just my assessment on the situation. So it's fair to say that the Master has literally taken the shine away from the crazy hype that was the KS20. And I'm a Begode, you know, I don't want to say fan, because fan means fanatic, but I really like the way they approach wheels in terms of performance. I need that immediate torque. I need to brake hard. I need to accelerate. I need that stuff. That's the whole point of the wheel, for me at least. And for the most part, they've been portable for a very long time. And just being able to encompass all of that stuff in a small package has always made sense to me. And I never considered Kingsong or InMotion wheels after the V8, because I feel, you know, these are beginner wheels where you learn to ride. You learn how to ride without spending too much money. But I think once you pass a certain threshold in terms of price, you should get everything. You should get performance, you should get speed, you should get everything. That's just my opinion on the matter. So it has taken the shine away from the KS20, but you know, that's just phase 1. So we'll see what happens with phase 2 with the KS22, and hopefully it's all for the better, you know, the fact that it burned down. So yeah, guys, there you have it. Now, nothing's perfect, obviously. There's a long way for these companies to go to achieve perfection. But personally, I look forward to owning a Master one day for my high performance needs, because just the idea of being able to ride the city streets the way I do and not worry about potholes with that beautiful suspension that it's equipped with, and not worrying about torque, and the seating arrangement is just like on another level for such a wheel. I mean, to me, that's priceless, man. That's priceless. Well, not exactly. The Master is around $3,300. Like I said, I honestly don't agree with that price. But yeah, it's definitely a different experience than what I'm used to. Whereas in the past, I would have to add the seat, I'd take it off when I don't need it. Here, it's just included. And you see the same thing on the EX20S. You see the same thing on the Hero, and now the Master. Obviously, the KS20 is lacking a lot in these areas. So I was really trying to figure out what really is different, you know what I mean? And yeah, the main difference is performance. But overall, we can all agree that the direction in which the EUC companies are going right now is good. It's healthy. You know, competition is always healthy. You see, the one mistake I feel Gotway did was relying on their laurels and, you know, just being stubborn in not attempting to innovate anything where design is concerned. And since they basically had no pressure from any other company to change, they just had one method, which was create, sell, repeat. And now it seems like they were literally kicked in the butt to get out of their comfort zone. And we can honestly say that they, you know, it's one thing to take criticism, but it's another thing to really take criticism and change the way you are doing things. And you can see that they did that well with the with the EX20S, the Hero, and now the Master. These are 3 very successful wheels, in my opinion, from Gotway. Not that I have touched any of them really, but the point is, just from the feedback of a lot of other people, I can tell that, you know, the majority of people are very happy with where Gotway is going with this new design. So let's see what happens with the KS22. I really hope that Kingsong lays to rest that horrible attempt at producing a 126 volt wheel with all these compromises, and, you know, just don't compromise. Focus on the basics and let's see what happens. But to answer the question I asked earlier, like, why is it called the Master? I think the reason it was called the Master is to envelop all of the most important aspects of riding for any normal rider, to moderate to high performance. Range was not really a concern for them, it looks like, but every other aspect seems to have been checked off perfectly. That's torque, that's performance, that's braking, that's comfort where seating is concerned. I mean, the convenience of having a kickstand, the mud guard, I mean, all of that makes practical sense for any modern EUC. Plus, with the suspension added to that, I mean, come on. I mean, what else can you ask for? Well, I can ask for more battery. But if that's your main complaint, more battery, they've done a great job. Fantastic job. Anyway, guys, Let me know in the comments what you guys plan on getting in the future. So until then, happy riding.